Hi and welcome to the Trading Bell Show. And this time round we are on the floor and we are hosting the KenGen MD and CEO Engineer Peter Njenga to really just get to understand how has it been at the helm for the 7 months plus that he has been there, and of course to understand how the company is doing.
This year has been one of a substantial growth and strategic development for KenGen.
Engineer Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to finally have you here, and welcome to the Trading Floor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Let me start this by talking about your financial performance, because we just recently released your finances and it was notable 8.4% surge in net revenues for the first half of your fiscal year 2023. Could you kindly elaborate to us some of the factors that have led to this growth?
Thank you very much for that question. But maybe before I answer that question,
please go ahead.
It's important to talk about ourselves.
Yes.
KenGen, the largest electricity energy producer in the eastern of this region.
Wow.
In East Africa, actually.
You're right.
And we pride ourselves actually to be among the top 10 largest geothermal generating company in the world.
Yeah.
Not just here in Kenya, in the world.
Yeah.
And for your information, geothermal is very key in the economy of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And as we shall be talking later, you find that geothermal currently, which is what we are using as our base power source, is very important for this economy.
Absolutely.
But coming to your question about what we have been able to do, we pride ourselves that we have been able to register quite some substantial growth in our revenues. And basically it's because of the work we have done behind the scenes.
Yes.
We know our machines have been running for many years.
Yeah.
And we have very elaborate maintenance programs for our machines, that whenever it is due time to do the maintenance, we do the maintenance at that time to ensure that when they are called upon to produce energy, they produce. And that gives us the revenues that you have seen.
Absolutely.
But besides that, we are also looking outside to see what else can we do. What else can we do to provide extra revenues? And looking at our expertise. In the geothermal, in the hydro, and even in the wind, we have a lot of competency among our staff. And we are using that also to get into the region and work with them in the areas of consultancy, in the area of exploration of other geothermal areas that we have in the region. And that is also going to give us extra revenues.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Speaking about the expansions, now that you mentioned that, I think before we started the interview, you said we should take a visit, one of these findings, to some of your plans. I just wanted to understand, could you tell us how your strategy is going in terms of expansion and what you're seeing coming forth?
It's good to, first of all, look at where are we in this country, considering the area of electricity energy generation. And we know that since we are the largest producer, we contribute a lot to that area of energy generation. And therefore we have to keep on working hard to ensure that we maintain the market share, currently at around 60%. We have a lot of competition from the independent power producers who basically are fighting in the space of the renewables, the variable renewables of wind and solar. But we are still in the area of geothermal, hydro, and wind. And actually going forward, we shall also get into the area of solar.
Okay.
But we have looked at our environment. We have looked at the existing power plants that we have. We are looking at the technology. We have new technologies out there. Our machines, some of them are quite old, 20 years plus. And I'm sure out there we have new technologies of machines that are more efficient.
You're right.
That can be able to generate more power more efficiently. And that is one of the areas that we are currently. In fact, one of our oldest geothermal power plants, our Carrier 1, we are putting it down and rebuilding it afresh.
Wow.
And with the new technology, believe you me, originally it was at 45 megawatts. We are going to get 63 megawatts. Just basically using new technology. And the same steam that was generating 45 megawatts will now generate 63 megawatts. That is a good thing. We are also looking at operating some of the existing turbines for our All Carrier 1 additional units 4 and 5 and All Carrier 4. We are going to upgrade and change the turbines and where possible even some of the equipment that are required again where now we are producing 300 megawatts, we'll be able to get 340, an extra 40. Wow. So that tells you that we must continue scanning the technological environment and see what is available today. Absolutely. Can we put it on board? And that's why sometimes I say it's important to retain some of the resources that we generate for us to be able now to ensure that we sustain ourselves into the future. Yes.
Thank you so much, Engineer. And we must appreciate that the conversation on energy in this country, it touches on almost everybody's life, actually everyone's life, because there has been discussions, and I've sat down with the Kenya Power MD before and had tough questions sometimes, because Kenyans interact with energy every single day, and when we have any issues, you can tell it touches on many people's lives. You have elaborated on some of the things I actually wanted to ask you in terms of efficiencies and what you have done. And coming back to your numbers, I just wanted to know, we are in a season where we have had some macro effects, for example. We're talking about inflation, but most of all, I look at you and I see you also have your own headwinds. Talking about, when we're talking about hydro, there could be water issues that could come by and all those kind of things. What are the current challenges you're facing, and what are you doing to mitigate the impact, even on the tax matters that come by?
Yeah. Very good question. Yes. The issues of macroeconomic environment, which sometimes it's very difficult for you to mitigate against.
Absolutely.
The inflation will behave according to even the bigger world economy, the way it is going. Look at the foreign exchange.
Absolutely.
We have recently seen the dollar going to, very high values of even at 160 Kenya shillings to the dollar. But now you see what has happened recently. Now it has come down to, I think now it should be below 130.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yes. That is a great improvement. And for us, that is great news.
Below 140, not 130.
Below 140.
Yes.
That is great news.
Yeah.
But, when you look at our industry and the kind of power plants that we are talking about, the spare parts, the equipment that we are using to generate electricity, most of them are coming from abroad.
Yes.
And for us to be able to maintain them, we have to keep on involving these suppliers from abroad. Again, we need to now talk to them and ask, what can you do to us? Because we have seen this volatility in the foreign exchange. Can we agree that part of it we can enter into a contract where a portion of your contract is in Kenya shilling, and perhaps part of it is in the foreign exchange. That will help us to be able to mitigate against this volatility of the dollar. But again, I think it is important for us to continue looking at efficiencies of our equipment. As I had said earlier, look at what technologies are available. Look at also our own operational, efficiencies. How do we carry out our operations and maintenance? Our staff costs, how can we manage them so that we are able to cut down and be able to do it hard? Yes.
Excellent. Let me talk about the hydrology and energy generation.
Yes.
And I was looking through some of the releases and information you've given us, and there was an increase in your hydro generation by about 7%.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, as KenGen, what are your plans to capitalize on favorable hydrology in the future?
Going into the future, years to come, we are actually looking at our major reserve, reservoir, Masinga. That's where we have, that's our major reservoir for water. And we are working on a project to actually increase the height of the dam by 1.5 meters. What it will do for us is to increase the volume of water that we can store. And that will help us to utilize that water over a longer period to generate power through the water. But again, I think it's important to know that hydrology in this country is of a challenge. And we are also looking at where else do we have water in this country? There are many rivers. Can we go into what I would call the mini hydros that can be distributed across this country? When there is no rain in this part of the country, there is rain in Western. When there is no rain in Western, there is rain in coasts. There is rain in other regions. And we can make use of that water to be able to continue generating power. For your information, hydro is the cheapest form of energy. the average cost currently from our point of view is about 5 Kenya shillings per unit. That is the actual cost of the electricity energy compared to the others that are above 10 shillings. So you can see half the costs. So if we have more water, we have more of electricity at a lower cost. Again, the other thing is to have a very good program of ensuring that whatever waters that are available, we utilize them more efficiently. We manage the flows of the water as we run the machines. So, we have a cascade of dams. You can have the water move from this dam to the next one, to the next one. And depending on how the rains are, you can actually control how those waters are. But going into the future again, we are thinking that it is important to start a plan to invest in solar in the same area where we have the hydros. What it will do for us is that during the day, we will not be running the hydro machines. We'll be using the solar. That will also preserve the water and help us to have more of hydro power in the night. In this country, the highest demand is normally from 6 o'clock to about 9:30 in the evening. So at that time, we don't have solar. But during the day, we use the solar, we preserve the water. At night, we use the water.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. I'm also interested to understand about your business diversification. And I noticed that you recently got accreditation of KenGen's calibration center. And what does this mean to you and your shareholders? Maybe could I, first of all, help us understand what this is impact.
I don't know whether you have ever had an opportunity to visit one I haven't million of gadgets that measure electricity current, the voltages, and we have also housing before light to geothermal. That is that measure the temperature, the pressure. Yeah. And as the machines rotate, the temperature is very key. We must monitor So the gadgets that are used, you must keep on ensuring that they are precisely set. Yeah, they are giving you the right measurement. Yes. Otherwise, if they give you the wrong measurement, then you'll be in problems. Yeah. So that particular center, calibration center, is going to help us, number one, to calibrate our own equipments, as I have indicated. Of course, there will be a lot of savings because we shall be doing it in-house. Secondly, we are also looking at the market out there. There are very many industries. There are other independent power producers who would come to us, and we are going to use that as another source of revenue generation for us going forward.
Which is very beautiful, especially for you and the shareholders. Yeah. Energy demands has been also something that I've seen on an increase of the population is increasing, the industries are growing, and everything else. And your approach is at the center of ensuring that we can meet industry demands, especially when we are trying to attract people to come and be in investment. To have the investment hubs put in this place. How do you plan to address this escalated national demand, especially on the angle of clean energy, because it's an attraction?
Clean energy is the debate, isn't the conversation in the world today. And I have mentioned that most of our portfolio is clean energy, geothermal, hydro, and wind. And soon we are also going into solar, which is also clean. We have a small component of but looking at the way things are going now, our government has pronounced itself that by 2030, maybe 2032, 2034, you should have all the thermals out of place. So we are working hard. We are actually, as I had said earlier, pulling down one of our oldest machines and put new machines to generate more geothermal. Looking at operating some of the machines, the turbines, to also generate more, geothermal. We are looking into the other fields. Kenya has a potential of 10,000 megawatts of geothermal. Currently, we have only been able to harness about 1,000. So we still have 9,000 out there, which has not been harnessed. And this figure I'm giving you is including all the independent power producers, what they are producing. So there's a lot of potential. So we want to continue engaging our government to be able to allocate us new fields where we can also go and, get more geothermal. But besides that, we are already working with some of our financiers to finance a project for solar. I have mentioned at Hydro, where we are going to have a solar plant that will be generating about 42.5 megawatts. And that is a project that we are seeing maybe by 2026 it should be on board. We are also looking at some of our old hydropower plants in Western. In Moroni we have Gogo, which we are also going to pull down and put a new one. It has been generating about 2 megawatts. The new one will be generating 8.6 megawatts. You can see what it's going to do to the western area. Look at Marsabit, has got very good winds. And we are still looking at the projects that we have already done feasibility study, and we know we can be able to establish 100 to 200 megawatts of a wind power farm in Marsabit. Besides that, there are very many other opportunities. We are also looking at Otu Coast. And I'm sure perhaps you have seen in other countries, they are able to harness winds offshore in the ocean. And they use it to generate power. So that is also an area we are opening our eyes to. Yeah, we are asking our financiers to also work with us, and we shall be able to get into that. So we are going to expand. We are not going to relent our effort, so that as the economy grows, we make our contribution. Today I'm just participated in the launch of the strategic plan for new PER. These are the nuclear power. They are going to set up a nuclear power plant by the year 2034.
Yes.
So the government is looking at ensuring there is good base load in this country. And for us, we are seeing that as an opportunity, because it's going to encourage investors to come in big numbers.
Yeah.
Big investors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I thought you would say that's competition.
No. It's going to encourage big investors to come. And for that reason, it will create also opportunity for us to generate more power through our Josam, through our wheat, and through our hike. That's what is going to happen. So it's an encouragement.
Excellent,
Yes.
excellent.
Yes.
And thank you so much for enlightening. I thought I would have thought there's no more way. Oh, competition is coming.
No.
But as we come to a close, engineer, and thank you so much for articulating these things very well. I want us to address the shareholder. First of all, I must congratulate you because you gave some great dividend payout to your shareholders, which really shows your robust financial health.
Yeah.
But of course, shareholders will always ask the question of how sustainable is this, because we want to keep having these dividends coming by. So I wanted you to, speak to them, maybe based on your future prospects and what you're seeing, and your word to them.
I want to encourage our shareholders. The future is looking bright. And if you look at the history of KenGen, we have actually sustained our share payment of dividends over a period. Maybe we are the only privileged energy sector institution that has been able to pay. We are 70% owned by the government. The other day, I think it was last month, we paid a good check to the government of dividend, and also to our private shareholders. So as I have said earlier, we are looking into the future. We are encouraged. The economy is growing. The demand is there. Our product, which is electricity energy, has market available. Looking at the cost of our electricity and the least cost power development plan that our sister company KPLC has, our energy is normally called fast because it is cheaper. Our government has been running the KPLC to ensure that the costs of electricity is lower. One of the ways is to ensure that you pick the lowest cost. KenGen has the lowest cost. That tells you that our revenues will continue growing. We have said we are going to work with the new technologies to improve on the efficiency. We are going to manage our operational costs and ensure that we apply technology. So recently we have worked with Japan, JICA, who have got a very interesting system of IoT, Internet of Things. We are going to now harvest a lot of our data and utilize that data, do data analytics, and that will be informing us when do we require to do what maintenance do we require to do when for particular plant and for particular equipment. And that will help us to ensure that we don't put up off machines when they are required to be generating revenue. That is very useful. So we are looking at the way it is now, and we know we are headed for better things. Our payment of dividends is guided by our policy that 30% profit before tax goes to dividends, and we are working towards that so that we ensure whatever profit we make, 30% before tax goes to the shareholders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Engineer, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for articulating this.
Thank you.
And here at the Trading Level, wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Asante.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
There you go, Engineer and CEO Peter Njenga, very confident, especially with a great message to shareholders that this is a trajectory and the future is yet even to be realized. And of course, for all the investors and the people who look forward to having a stable place where you have energy distribution for your investments, then he says this is the place to be. Thank you so much for your time. I leave you now with the markets.
The bond market has come a long way, and I must say this approval from the CMA for the NSE to be able to now have a hybrid structure is a result of that very long-term strategy that started back in 2009 when we automated the market from the manual environment to a digital way of doing business. So now this hybrid bond market, what it means is that you have an opportunity as an investor to come through our licensed trading participants, those are the brokers, or also you have an opportunity, if you are a financial institution approved by CMA, to face the market directly, and that is what we call over-the-counter transactions. You will appreciate the way bonds work. They are big volume transactions, so we are now giving our investors the opportunity to be able to negotiate those transactions and report them to the exchange before settlement happens at the Central Bank of Kenya for government bonds or at the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation in the event that you are trading a corporate bond. So what we have done is to ensure that we have broadened the scope over and above our existing trading participants. We have come up with an additional license that we are calling unauthorized securities dealers that is going to allow commercial banks to face the market directly for purposes of secondary trading of bonds. There is a whole buffet of benefits, and one is that we, for the first time, we have been able to achieve pre-trade transparency. Pre-trade transparency means that before you come and execute the trade at the exchange, we are now giving the market the opportunity to be able to give us the price points so that investors are able to know if I want to engage a bank or if I want to engage a trading participant, what are the price points for that bond. So we'll be able to achieve that pre-trade transparency. The second thing that is of advantage to us is that we have been able to aggregate all investors through our platforms. Today, you'll find that we have investors like commercial banks who participate in the short end of the curve. We also do have investors who participate on the long term of the curve, and those are our pension schemes. We have been able to aggregate all of them through our platform. And the second advantage, therefore, is that we will be able to have a yield curve that is not only short term, but also long term. Our intention is to work within the government policy direction where we are lengthening the yield curve. So our expectation is that we will not only have insurances on the short term, we will also have insurances going forward on the long term. It should interest you to note that we do have a 25-year bond currently in the market that was issued around 5 years ago. It was a 30-year paper. So who knows? Our intention is to ensure that going forward, we may be able to put out a long-term paper as the case may be.